Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today's upload is going to consist of Dogman encounters, secret government projects, and much more. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads that I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to today's upload, shall we? Okay, so first order of business. The other day I shared an experience that a subscriber had reached out to me to share their dad's experience. Their dad has since passed, and he has really never spoken of this experience to anyone. And he wanted to make sure that it was told right, done right, and I had shared everything and anything. That's why I included a lot of backstory on Mount Katahdin, the Penobscot lore around, what the Penobscot Native Americans believed happened or happens on that sacred mountain. They do believe that it is the start of life, that there is a God that lives on that mountain. It also has a protector, a very strange kind of bird-like elongated leg and arm creature. And it is also the end or beginning, whichever. I mean, if you're going south to north, it's the end. If you're going north to south, it's the beginning of the Appalachian Trail. I've always considered it to be the beginning just because I live in the north. Now, the key thing he wanted me to clarify was there was two comments that people had made. And Russ, really nice guy, but like I said, this is his dad's experience. His dad has since passed. He has never shared it with anybody, and he wanted to make sure that there was no kind of mockery. Because he's kind of held this experience as, his dad never told lies. He never made stories up, didn't believe in the paranormal except for oceanic, whatever things he had seen because he was a merchant marine. And I guess the comment was something or other. I find it strange that this giant or Nephilim or mountain giant came out of a portal to attack dogmen to save a human. Wouldn't that be like a spider saving a fly? And nowhere in that experience, while sharing it, did I say Russ believed that giant, or whatever you want to call it, came out of that portal to save those dogmen. His father and himself believed that that thing had been hunting the dogmen, and quite possibly used him as kind of a bait to have, he obviously wasn't in on it, nor did whatever, but watched these dogmen trail him and lead these dogmen to a location where they could be attacked efficiently and without kind of any escape route. Because where they were, it was a very remote part of the trail, a very isolated and dangerous part of the trail. So, no, to that person that said it's strange because whatever. He truly believes that giant was hunting the dogmen, and the only contact ever between the two was pointing at him to beat feet. Otherwise, Russ believes that he may, if his dad pushed on, he might have ended up in that same kind of predicament the dogman did. Who knows? He did not feel like this giant was a friend nor a foe, just kind of there doing something that it, had planned out to do. Anyway, I just wanted to share that. Then there was another comment, and I caught this one. Someone had spelled Penobscot wrong. And someone just went up and down on that person. That's not what we're about here. I will take the the abuse on my ums. But if someone spells something wrong and, maybe correct, hey, it's spelled this way, not da 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 da. I mean, unless you are an English teacher and, you're at a prestigious school, but they might have not known how to spell it. Who knows, maybe typed it out real quick, but there's no necessary reason to attack people because they misspelled something. I'm a different case. Attack me if you want. I don't care. Don't care at all. But subscribers, don't attack them. Even if you are a subscriber, that's not what we're here for. And obviously this person was new because I did not recognize their name on both accounts. So I just wanted to kind of clear that up. Russ wanted to clear the thing up about his dad's experience because it means something to him. He has never shared that. And he wanted to make sure that, there was no misunderstanding. So let's jump into the second part of this upload. All right, so today's second part of the upload, Dogman experience. Yesterday I had shared some Pennsylvania experiences. And during that upload, I had narrated a Pennsylvania encounter with a woman, her twin sister, her best friend, and mom all had back in the day. Mom was outside taking in some laundry. She had heard this kind of bang, and it sounded like someone or something had hit a metal drum, like a barrel or a metal silo, and came running in the house. She may have seen something the daughter does not know to this day, because why would she make such a big deal, shut the windows, this, and that, if she didn't see something? But the kids did when they were taking out the window fans and shutting and locking the windows. The young woman who took the fan out of her mom's window had seen a dogman that pretty much took up the entirety of the window with its head and shoulders. And we're talking, you'd at least have to be 8 feet tall to even look into that window. So it was huge. And she had made mention of having another experience. And I had looked all over for it after I did the upload, because I was like, where? It's not in my Pennsylvania file. And then I remembered she had shared it to me verbally And I had recorded it and put it on the show when she was on here. So to kind of round that experience off, about 9 months later, the mom had been gone, probably to work or whatnot, and the two twins were home with a younger sister. And they had been playing outside, beautiful, beautiful summer day kind of. And the younger sister had kind of made mention of wanting to play with these dogs in the tree. And the woman who shared that experience with me kind of said, "What are you talking about? Dogs aren't in trees, you know? Where are you seeing these dogs in a tree?" And maybe 30, 40 feet from their backyard, there was this huge kind of old growth tree. And there in the branches of this tree were 3 or 4 dogmen staring at these girls, these young kids, jet black, glowing red eyes. And instantly they had ran inside, locked all of the doors, shut the windows again. And on that first experience, the mom had them kind of sit in a room with kitchen knives in their hands just to have some sort of protection. She had a firearm, the mom. And that's what those girls did right after. And they could hear slapping on the house. They could hear scratching on the house. Thank God nothing got in, but it was a very terrifying and violent assault on this house by 3 or 4 dogmen that were huge against 3, adolescent girls. So that really does also make the theory that I had mentioned the other day as well about them hunting humans. They necessarily don't hunt humans for food, but they hunt us not to kill. Sometimes they do, but to get that kind of feed off our fear, feed off that kind of negative energy that they're pushing out towards us when we have that, adrenaline rush, that fear. And maybe they are not all, but maybe some of these creatures are kind of like an energy vampire or like the inorganic beings. I don't know, but I found it interesting that, these things could have easily gotten into that house. It was an old farmhouse, yet they didn't. And I find that in a lot of experiences that we've heard. I've had one where a gentleman reached out, and it was the only one that I do believe two or three, actually, where a dogman had entered the home. There was one where a ex-police officer was in his kitchen, opened up the door, and there's a dogman in the backyard. He shuts the door, runs to his office, and then this thing gets into his home, smashing stuff in his dining room and kitchen, and then bolts out, which was very strange. But the one experience where this dogman went absolutely berserk, the guy had been sleeping. His bedroom he had lived in a very small kind of home where the one bedroom in this kind of house, it was like a single family home or one person home, just a very small home. And his bedroom had been the top floor, the attic. Not redone, not restored, just you could see the rafters actually. And these dogmen were just clawing its way into his house. he actually had to get up out of bed and run to his car while 2 or 3 dogmen were trying to get to him through his roof. And they had made a substantial amount of damage, because when he came back 2 or 3 days later, because he was like, I am not going back now. I'm going to have to wait a little bit. And when he did, there was a hole in his roof above his bed. His doors had been ripped off. Front and back door had been ripped off. Just in a mess. And I think in that case, I don't believe they were hunting him to feed off of the terror or the negative energy. I think, and he never did tell me why. There was a reason why, but he never told me why he was being targeted. And I think possibly he messed with some sacred ground or whatever. But they really did a number on this house. And insurance, his insurance company wouldn't cover it because of, he had said something like act of God and, natural whatever. And I guess the inspector or whatever came and looked and said, we're not covering this. Your house is not, and he said it wasn't the greatest house. He was trying to restore it at the time. And it was literally, you walk in, kind of a living room, a kitchen, a bathroom, a stairwell, and his room. An old basement, a porch on the back, just a small little shack almost. And that's exactly what he said it was. But he did something really to upset these creatures to where they might have killed him if they had gotten into that house. It was right over his bed. So I just wanted to share that Pennsylvania experience with you guys to fill that gap in. And I wanted to make sure that I remembered the exact details of it, because can you imagine you're with your little sister, your twin is inside doing something, and she's like, I want to play with the dogs in the trees. This is after seeing one of these creatures outside of your home and dealing with it, claw marks on the side of the walls and stuff, or windowsills. And then your little sister says that, and you turn and look, and she's pointing, and there's 3 or 4 of these huge jet black dogman with burning red eyes. Absolutely terrifying. So let's get into some more very interesting information. All right, so this next part of the upload I want to share because it goes hand in hand with the Mount Katahdin mountain giant Nephilim coming out of a portal, hunting those dogmen. And I do 100% believe our government got the technology and the know-how to build portals, stargates, etc., from this ancient race of aliens that live in these kind of deep underground military bases, these subterranean caverns. And I talked about this gentleman quite a few times on the channel. The most recent would probably be like 6 months ago. Duncan Cameron, part of the Montauk Boys. And obviously Montauk Project, Philadelphia Experiment. But the Montauk Boys there was a Montauk chair, and through telekinesis and other kind of mental abilities, this Duncan Cameron had sat in this Montauk chair at Camp Hero and opened this huge portal, and out came this just enormous, strange looking, dangerous creature. And it had been done quite a few different times, but the one time when they almost weren't able to control the situation, it had actually come out of this portal and started to really wreak havoc until Duncan Cameron was able to, and the military was able to figure out a way of getting this thing back into that portal, and everything was, kind of back to normal. Not really, but anyway, the Montauk project in the Montauk chair and the Reptilians, why I said I believe that we got this technology, the know-how to create these, and it would make sense that Reptilians, Nephilim, and other cryptids were using these portals because their vibration, I do believe that they have this vibration to where they can't, or that's why we can't get a great photo or a great video, is because of these energies that are produced. So this is very interesting. I wanted to share this. On the southeasternmost tip of Long Island lies an idyllic fishing hamlet of Montauk, New York, quiet, sparsely inhabited during the cold, wind-strifed months of winter. The town's population swells each summer with the onslaught of tourists, fishermen, and those fortunate to have a seasonal residence in this quaint seaside village. Many day visitors flock to see the historic landmark, the Montauk Lighthouse, commissioned by the father of our country, George Washington. But there's a darker side of Montauk Point that many are unaware of. Within view of that famous lighthouse lies a derelict military facility known as Camp Hero. A Sage radar dish sits atop of a tall abandoned building in the distance. Records show Camp Hero was officially decommissioned and vacated by the United States Air Force in 1969. It was reopened and operated without the sanction of the United States government, utilizing a fully verified and documented subterranean facility beneath the base. And it is here many believe the Montauk Project was able to carry on its covert operations. So this is reptilian and alien experiences in Montauk. It was mid-September 1994. It had been almost 25 years since I had visited Montauk, New York. As I stepped off the train, I wondered still why I felt the need to go here. I was trying to come to terms with some understanding of my apparent involvement with alien abductions. I was seeing Dr. Maurice Kugel, PhD, a clinical psychologist specializing in hypnotherapy, to assist me in overcoming anxiety caused by these experiences. At Montauk, a busy summer season had ended, and I looked forward to relaxing, doing some reading on the subject of alien abductions, and with any luck, finding some answers. I spent 4 days in Montauk. With each passing day, I got more and more depressed. I did not venture any further than a few blocks in either direction of my hotel. I couldn't wait to leave and return home on a Friday. The next night, after falling asleep at around midnight, I was abruptly awakened by a violent vibrating under my bed and my body. It felt as though I was hit by an earthquake. However, I suddenly sensed that I was not alone. I was unable to see anything. I don't know if my eyes were open or not, but I could feel my body being pulled from the bed. I still remember how the sheet felt as my body was pulled across it. I tried screaming, "Oh God," but it came out as a whisper. I screamed in my head, "No, I'm still awake." By this time, my hips are at the edge of the bed. I turned to try and grab the headboard to drag myself back. That was the last thing I remember before losing consciousness. The next morning, I remember none of this. Later that evening, while talking to a friend on the telephone, it suddenly came flooding back to me. I quickly finished the conversation, too upset to talk, and changed for bed. That's when I first noticed 2 puncture marks on my left thigh. They were 2 inches apart, midway between my knee and the top of my thigh. I was determined to have a record of this latest physical manifestation of my experience. At the time, I worked for Dr. D as an internist. We do not know who Dr. D is. I asked him to please look at these marks and tell me if they were indeed puncture marks. He examined them and stated they appear to be puncture marks, but they are too symmetrical. And how could I get them and not know it happened? I decided it was time to tell him how it happened. After hearing my experiences, he recommended that I see a psychiatrist. I made an appointment with a local doctor, spent close to an hour telling this doctor my experiences. When I was finished, he advised me that he did not believe in the possibility that life existed elsewhere in the universe. I said that he was going to tell me I was suffering from night terrors and sleep paralysis. That was his exact diagnosis. I asked him how it would be possible to have puncture wounds associated with my diagnosis. He had no answer. I then asked him if I was neurotic, psychotic, or suffering from delusions. He said no. I stated, well, maybe, just maybe, I'm telling the truth then. Before I left his office, I told him at this point the best we could say is that we had agreed to disagree. And I hoped we could have this conversation again 10 years from now. I eventually saw Dr. Kugel concerning this episode. The puncture wounds were still visible. And I showed him them. Prior to this experience, I had related to Dr. Kugel partial accounts of my encounters with a species I refer to as the nasty ones. Even after regression, I was unable to get a clear image in my mind of their appearances. All I could draw was a picture that resembled a fat plant leaf. I also had a strange response to a silhouette image and subsequently flash image of an alien depicted in an episode of X-Files. I was terrified. The image was of a large muscular being with pronounced pointed ears. While attending a UFO conference in New Jersey in March of '95, I arrived late to the lecture and slideshow being presented by Lee Haley. The slideshow was already in progress when I took my seat. After just a few minutes, an image appeared on the screen which caused me to panic and become anxious. I had to leave the room. The image she had drawn was that of a reptilian creature she had encountered during her abduction. It showed the same pointed ears I had seen on the X-Files, that I had seen the X-Files episode. Later, I was to realize this is what I had drawn for the doctor. The image of a fat plant leaf was the distinct shape of the alien or creature's ears. Now, here's something fascinating that I just wanted to share quickly. Steph, former private military contractor, had been hired with a team to assist in the security of precious metal mines. Canada, United States, Africa, etc. At one point, I had done an upload and he had drawn a picture of this humanoid-like creature with pointed ears, kind of a like a muzzle like that, right? But the pointed ears. And he did a side view of this. And instantly I thought, as reading this before, I immediately thought of Steph in that encounter, that him and his team had, to do battle with this monster. And I really believe why our government uses private military contractors to secure these precious metal mines. One, because it's a lot of money, and two, because there are portals, or there's sort of high concentration of energy, and portals quite possibly could be easily opened there. I had started to hear about a covert operation called the Montauk Project. I became very interested in learning more about it since I lived so close to Montauk. I read the 3 books written by Preston Nichols and had a very uneasy feeling about this story. Why was I drawn to this place? Why did I feel the need to learn everything I could? In one of the books is a picture of Duncan Cameron. The face was so familiar to me. I knew I had a conversation with him at some time. Then I realized it had been telepathic, but I could not remember what the conversation had been about, nor when it had occurred. Lois, a friend, and I were planning to attend a UFO conference in Connecticut in 1995 of October. I suggested that since she was driving up to New York to pick me up for the conference, why not come a few days early and we could explore at Montauk? She immediately agreed. Upon arriving in Montauk, we checked into our hotel room and set off for Camp Hero. We tried different entrance points, but all had security gates and signs posted stating no trespassing. We finally found access on the side of the road just before the lighthouse. It was an area just south of the base on the beach. The road we walked on ended at its parking area on a cliff overlooking the ocean. The radar dish was quite visible from this vantage point, but was too far to hike, Lois felt sick and uneasy there. For some reason, I was drawn to that cliff. I stood out there by the edge, just looking out over the beach and the ocean for 10 minutes. I felt so drawn to this spot. Why? What possible reason could there be? I had never been here before. Why did I feel rooted to that spot? It's getting late, and Lois and I wanted to try and get on the road and call it a day. Driving back toward town, we turned onto Old Montauk Highway. According to the map we had, this road should go right to Camp Hero. There's also notations on the map of areas where someone had felt a void and a very ominous feeling. While driving down the road, Lois and I both felt this void. It was one of the strangest feelings I've ever felt. The only way I can describe it is the absence of feeling life, as if nothing lived in this space. I wish I could be more specific. Once past this void, the terrible, ominous feeling hit us very strong. The road ended abruptly at a dead end. Lois wanted to go back to the hotel, but I insisted that I knew we're close to the radar station and wanted to check it out just for a minute. I climbed over this pile of wood chips and went through a small brush. About 100 feet into the brush, the asphalt road continued. I followed it to a clearing, and there it was, right in front of me, the radar dish. I went back to the car where Lois was waiting and grabbed a video camera. I returned the same way, taping as I went along. After shooting the radar dish, I suddenly got an eerie feeling that I was being watched. The feeling was very strong and very frightening. I wanted to run back to the car, but I was afraid that I would fall. I left as quickly as I could. Lois and I returned to our hotel room. We went to bed at around midnight, but I stayed up until approximately 1:30 a.m. reading. Sometime between 3 and 3:30, both of us were awakened by a loud noise. The smoke detector in our hotel room was going off, and neither of us could reach it in order to turn it off. We finally contacted the hotel employee, who advised us that the smoke detectors do not run off battery. It is connected directly to the room's electrical system, and in order to shut it down, we would have to go to the fuse box located on the side of the closet wall, throw the switches until we found the one that it was connected to. We tried all of the switches to no avail, even throwing the main switch, which cut power to the entire room but did not shut down the smoke detector. A maintenance employee of the hotel came to our room and tried shutting it down, the electricity. The detector still continued. He finally had to put the smoke detector from the wall and cut the wires in order to turn it off. The next day, we agreed that neither of us wanted to return to that base. We were both so frightened. A couple of weeks later, I had scheduled to attend a UFO conference in Mobile, Alabama. I went down for a few days to get away by myself. It was during this time that flashbacks started. First, the face of the reptilian, close to me, accompanied by a raspy sound. I knew the reptilian image was during my blank, but when, where, I don't have the answers. Then I saw an image of traveling in a military jeep through tall grass, sand, over hills, soldiers wearing fatigues, brown, tan, and black berets. I'd also recalled a memory of being submerged into some strange liquid, heavier than water. I kept hearing muffled sounds of people talking and remembered yelling, "I can't hear you!" These flashbacks continued to haunt me, but I couldn't remember any other details. It was during the period after my return from Mobile that I remembered a strange experience in Montauk in 1970. When questioned about periods of missing time, I had always stated that I didn't have any. But I suddenly remembered that I had. For whatever reason, I had no recall of this until this time. During a visit to my aunt and uncle's campsite in Ditch Plains in Montauk, I was missing 2 to 3 hours. And my uncle remembered it. My recollection of the early part of that day had always been very clear. My memory of the later part of the day was vague and blurry. I had an appointment with the doctor, Dr. Kugel, that week and determined I should regress to the day of 1970 to see what really happened. I told the doctor that I felt he should put me under as deeply as he could. He agreed. And here are those recollections of that hypnosis. Oh, this is the person that had gone to Camp Hero with their friend Lois. This is their memories that they remembered while under hypnosis. This is a session from 1995. This goes back to the 70s, remember. We're driving in a car on our way to Montauk. I'm sitting in the front seat with my mom. My brothers and sisters are in the back seat. Daddy's at work. Mommy's happy we're going to Montauk. Uncle B is her half-brother. They just met a couple years ago at the funeral for their natural father. We arrive at Ditch Plains, the campsite they stay at in Montauk, hang around for a while, talking with everyone, then decide to change into bathing suits, a two-piece butt. I put on my cutoffs in the bathroom. This is so boring. I'm going to look around this campsite. I walk toward the east a little ways, and after a while I pass a group of surfers camping there. One of them looks familiar. It's M, blank F's older brother. I stop and say hello. M asks me if I've seen F yet. I tell him no. He says F is surfing right now, so I decide to walk down to the water and look for him. I sit on the sand at the shoreline, watching 5 to 6 surfers. Finally, I spot F. He is so beautiful. When he heads in from the water, I get up and start walking in his direction. I hope he notices me. As I get closer, he does. He calls out my name and waves. I walk over and we kiss hello. He asks what I'm doing in Montauk, and I tell him. He asks if I'd like to take a walk in about an hour. He's got some things that he has to do back at campsite. Can I meet him here? Sounds great. This hour is going so slow. I'm at the campsite with F, and we start walking towards the east. We walk a little less than a mile. There's a cliff up ahead, and we walk into the dunes and find a quiet spot. There's tall dune grass behind us. F gets a towel, we sit down on it and start making out. We end up lying down next to each other. He kisses so good. Suddenly, I hear a loud buzzing sound, like a lot of bees. I sit up. So does F. What is that? Something's not right. I look at F, and he can hear it as well. We lie down on our backs, still next to each other. Why am I doing this? We should run away. I try and yell to F that we should get out of here, but I can't talk. I can't move. I'm scared. I want my mother. It sounds like a car is coming. The sound is getting closer, then stops. The buzzing is louder now. Even though I am scared, my body acts like it is not. A man wearing a soldier uniform is looking down at me, standing on my left. On the right is another soldier. He kicks F's legs. He says, he's out of it, he says. Mike, you take him to the Jeep, says the leader on the left. Okay, Terry, says the guy on my right. There are two other guys with them, but I don't know their names. Terry is very tan with dark hair and dark glasses. The others seem to be more fair. Mike and the other guys pick F, and Mike carries him like a fireman does. Terry does not pick me up. Someone else does. We are in the back seat of the Jeep, traveling north through the dunes and tall grass. There's a big hill up ahead. This is so weird. The hill is moving. Just part of it. It looks like there's a door in the hill. It moves forward, and then to my right, we drive in. There's another Jeep parked on the left. Two other men in the same uniform with black berets are inside. They all have rifles. I still can't talk, but my body does what they want. I'm helped from the Jeep. F is between two guys, and they are helping him walk. Terry and someone take me between them so I can walk. This place looks like a garage or something. We go through the door. It's bright in this hallway. We turn right. F is just ahead of me. At the next hallway, F keeps going straight with those two guys, but we turn to the right and walk a few feet to an elevator door. Terry has a credit card and puts it into the slot of the door. The slot is vertical, and there are two lights above it. One red, one green. The door opens and we go inside. There are no buttons to be pushed. We are going down, then the door opens, and it's much darker here, and it smells funny. Like a baseball with... like my basement with a cesspool problem. We turn right, go a few feet, then turn left. I'm cold. There's a door to my left. Terry opens it. This room is dark, I can hardly see. There's almost no furniture. There's something that looks like a paddle table. They help me onto it and lie me down. Now I'm very cold. One of the guys says, "Do we just leave her here?" And Terry answers, "She's not going anywhere." They leave the room. I can't see to move anything but my eyes. I can't seem to move anything but my eyes. Why am I here? I don't like this. Over to my left, something moves. It's coming closer. I can see it better. Oh my God, it's a monster. No, at this point, I got so agitated and almost jumped from the chair in Dr. K's office. My eyes flew open and I could not stop shaking and cringing. Dr. K calmed me down and I continue. What I see is a creature 6 to 7 feet in height. Its eyes are large and pointed at the top. Its eyes are a bright yellowish gold and seem to glow. It has pointed teeth and a large wrinkle on its forehead. It has a tail. It's coming toward me. I have never been so scared in my life. He comes to the foot of the table, and he ends up, the reptilian, I'm not going to go any further. I will, but the reptilian creature is very violated her, but almost medically as well. I don't know how long he had done this, but he's done. He goes back to the part of the room I first saw him at, and then he is suddenly gone. A door never opens or anything. I don't know how long I lied there. Terry and another guy come through the door and dress me. They help me from the table. We leave. After I'm brought back to the elevator, I am taken to another well-lit room. It reminds me of a doctor's examining room, except there are machines I do not recognize, lights and dials recessed into the wall above the countered area. There is a lot of stainless steel equipment and a table covered in white. I am placed on that table and strapped down, including my head. I am terrified. I am left alone for what is probably just a couple of minutes, but it felt like hours. A group of 5 to 6 people come into the room wearing white gowns, masks, and hats covering their heads. They are male, but I see at least one female. They are very busy. I don't know why. My head is turned on its side and taped to the table. I know this sounds strange, but a small portion of the area above and behind my ear was shaved. The ear is pulled toward the front of my face, taped to it. Although I am immobilized, I cannot talk. I am completely conscious. Someone is writing something on the skin behind my ear. I remember someone is saying something about an IV, and the man says, "Do you think she needs it?" Someone else says, "I wouldn't want to take a chance. What she may wake up." That's all I remember until I regained consciousness back in the dunes with F. No, about 10 years ago I developed what was thought to be inflamed cyst on my right ear. The doctor had to lance it and drain it and remove it. As he broke the skin with a scalpel, something shot out. He examined it, and he said he had never seen anything like it. He said it was the size and shape of a bullet. He had to pack the hole and left with medical gauze. So, where did that creature go to? Why did it do all of that? This person will never know. And they still, to this day, do not. The what they call these creatures, the nasty ones. She's not the first one to mention these creatures, these reptilian-like creatures, these Dracos or Draconians. They are capable of using portals, though. But they have... I find this interesting, and I wonder if you guys will as well. So they have this kind of ancient way of traveling through these portals, and I consider it ancient because, to me, they also have the ability to travel at like unbelievable speeds in these tunnels going from deep underground military base to deep underground military base, but yet they still use portals. And I find that very interesting but strange all in the same sense. And I do believe that Bigfoot and Dogman are able to use those portals as well. If you've ever, we've all heard the Bigfoot was so big, its shoulders were 4 or 5 feet across, and it hid behind this little tree, this little scrub poplar, whatever. And then it was gone. How is a Bigfoot with shoulders so immense disappear behind this small, maybe 5-inch in diameter tree trunk? That makes no sense. Anyway, I do believe that these, they're all, I think it's all connected. I really do, 100%. It only makes sense that they use portals. There's an old story talking about California and this city under California, under LA, a city under LA made entirely of gold. And some researchers and theorists believe that the gold was mined by creatures resembling Bigfoot that was created by the Reptilian, possibly Dogman as well. But I do believe that the Dogman, according to Sumerian text, is a distant relative or whatnot of these dog-headed alien race of creatures that came to Earth. They're not very nice, pretty dangerous, feud with the Draconians, the Nordics, and all of the other ones. The just unstable kind of creature. So, I don't know. And we may never know. But at least the information is there. We have this information. A Hypnosis from 1995, and they had forgotten this. That is some serious mind control. If someone can forget that happening to them, and then having a tracking chip cut from behind their ear. Where did our government get the ability to track things? Right after the alien / government treaties were made in the 40s, we as Americans got some very interesting tech that just right there, we don't have it one day. Holy cow. Now there's a plane or a jet with a wooden propeller and a naval pilot with a gorilla mask smoking a cigar. That way they can keep it, secret. But if someone sees them, who's going to believe that Navy pilot? I just saw, as they're flying in a propeller-propelled plane, I just saw a jet or some sort of aircraft not propelled or not moving with the help of a propeller. What the hell was it? And it was wearing a gorilla mask with a cigar. Just a way of discrediting those naval pilots that have seen strange stuff like that. So anyway, with that, I hope you all enjoyed today's upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is, after all, your support that keeps this channel growing and going, and honestly what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free. Everyone's simply treated with the respect that we all deserve, so thank you. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, our pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. They are out there and they are dangerous. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless.